Greetings, fellow human beings. I hope that you are doing great. Today I'm gonna walk you through some of the pictures I took in my last video titled Structure. It's gonna be a quick video as I selected the pictures that I think represent the best the idea I had in mind. So let's not waste any more time and jump in the first picture. So this is the first structure picture I took that day. One of the reasons is because it's covered by glass, which reflects both the light and its surroundings. And the second and main reason is because the corner is rounded and darker than the two sides, thus making an interesting contrast in my point of view. And I also like the patterns made by the lines all over the building. And the dramatic sky above finishes to complement the photo. Same picture but taken vertically. On this one the building looks wider, therefore more imposing. I like the triangle shapes that it makes at the top. And again, the central part here is darker and more contrasty than both sides. I took several pictures of this building, but I think this one is the best. Although the building itself actually occupies just one corner of the frame, the negative space being filled by the blue sky. And of course, the nice touch here is the airplane trajectory somehow being parallel or somewhat parallel to the building. I think this one works better in color to accentuate the difference between the sky and the building. A city is a collection of structures and one of which are chimneys. This chimney is the one of an onsen, the Japanese public bath. I like its colors, the rust on it, the Japanese lettering, the logo here, which symbolizes onsen, and again the contrast of the man-made object with the blue sky. So on these shots there are three things that I actually like. Obviously we have the main subject, the building, a big structure. Secondly, we have all the street art all around it and very colorful with some characters here, there, another one here. But also a third thing I like about this composition is that there is a human subject or the shadow off in the bottom corner of the frame. And as I said in my video, I also like the fact that there is one side of the building perfectly in the light of the sun and then another one in the shadow. I think it also gives a nice contrast to the building and to the composition. Here again, there is an interesting mix between structure that we can see here, street art in the bottom part, and the blue sky as a background. Of course, I wish there were no car on the way, but that's the way it is, you know. When you do street photography, you have to deal with the elements you find. Alright, so this one is a little bit stretchy as a structure photography because the structure is actually almost out of the frame. But still, I consider it to be a structure photography picture because we have the shadow of the structure on the wall and on the pavement there. So there is a play between artificial structure and natural light, which I find interesting. And bonus point, there is also a human subject into the frame as well. And I think it works better in black and white. The idea of this photograph is to play with colors and light, narrowed and squeezed down by the two big structures, dark and almost colorless on both sides. So I like the fact that the building here is colorful with many different elements, different shapes on it. And I also like the spilling of colors on the side of the building. This photo is pretty basic, but the idea was to immerse the viewer into the city, among the structures. So on the right side, you have a big imposing building here, which actually blocks the front, but also the side of the picture. Then you have other buildings on the side. I like this one because of its different lines and shapes. I like also this one cornering the bottom left of the picture. But what actually triggered me to take the picture is the shadow of the building that we don't see because it's out of the frame, but it goes sideways onto the other buildings and it leaves a shape over there. So it adds an extra layer on top of already existing lines. So here I play with superpositions and shadows and lights and shapes. Again, here it doesn't seem to be much at first, but actually there is a lot going on. First of all, the eyes of the viewer will be drawn to the main subject here, not only because of its red popping color, but because this is the only thing that has the sky as a background. The rest of the pictures is all about lines, structures, shapes filling the frame. Here also there is quite a lot happening. The main subject is of course the structure centered with its vertical and horizontal line as well as rounded corners. But this first subject creates the frame of the secondary subject, the shadow of the man walking behind. And to complement these two subjects, you also have as a background the city lines, other structures going straight, being rounded, vertical, horizontal. There is a lot going on again here. To me, this picture tells a story, the story of men among the structure. So you have those three big pillars being probably the main point or the main subject of the picture. But of course, you also have the man walking among those big structures. If you pay attention, you will see that the man is actually hunchback, and that gives the impression that he is being crushed somehow by the big structures around him. And that is a feeling I think we can relate it to, being overwhelmed by the gigantic structures we find ourselves in being in the city. Here what I like is something I didn't talk about yet, and this is the distortion effect, the perspective that creates the 24mm focal length. It emphasizes and accentuates the sizes and the presence of the structures of the buildings. And as I said in the video, I also like the fact that every surface of this building is actually made of metal. And the vertical lines going along the two main buildings accentuates also this effect of perspective and distortion. On to the last picture, and actually probably my favorite of that session. This is really the kind of pictures I wanted to take with the theme of structure in mind. So here again, because of the 24mm focal length, you have the bottom of the building being wide and the top getting narrower. Plus, of course, the building is surrounded by two other buildings complementing the main subject, and the biggest point is obviously the contrast between shadow and light on the two sides of the building, and the fact that also there is this part protruding here and giving hard angles is also adding to the picture. And I think this one works both in color and in black and white, although I think the black and white emphasizes even more the grandiose aspect of the picture. So there you have it, guys, the thought process behind the pictures I took for my video structure. So when you go out shoot in the city, don't only focus on human subjects, but also incorporate the structures, the environment. Those can create dramatic pictures, as I hope I displayed with these photographs. Tell me in the comment section which pictures you preferred. Like, subscribe and share to support the channel, and until next time, enjoy the ride and spread the love.